Hey guys, Sam here and welcome back to Samcraft. Welcome to another video inside my new workshop. Today is all about turning up the heat. I'll be installing that guy, the HeatStorm brand new model 6,000 watt garage heater controlled both by remote, smart app, and the new remote thermostat. Longtime followers of my channel, as in 3 to 4 years long followers, will notice or may remember, that guy looks familiar. Don't you already have one of those? The answer to that is yes. But I now have 2 workshop spaces that require heating, so I had to get another one. That being said, this is a new and improved model with a really cool feature added, which is an external thermostat, which honestly was the only thing lacking from the first model. Let's go ahead and open the box and take a look at this thing. Right up top, we have the new feature, which is their external thermometer. We'll take a closer look at that in a little bit. User manual with remote and mounting hardware. As you guys can tell, this is a rather compact heater. It has a low profile design. Its overall height is very small, which is nice because it means you can mount it up close to your ceiling. And if you have a low ceiling height workshop, or you just don't want your ceiling space dominated by a big heater, this one is the one for you. Mounting is very versatile with this. You have this metal mounting bracket, which can be installed this way for a ceiling mount, or this way for a wall mount. I'm going to be installing mine on the wall, so we'll put the bracket in this orientation, but just know it could be mounted on the ceiling like this as well. Right up front on the heater, you have the output. There's also this flapper, which will help direct some of the airflow up or down. You have a digital display as far as your temperature, fan speed, everything like that. Push button control, but you also do get a remote with this heater. The bottom is a nice plain gray. Over on the left side, pretty clear, minus your mounting hardware. The right side is the same way. The top is basic, with the exception of the hole for your power cord to wire in. And on the back, you have your inlet. This is where it draws air into the machine to heat and expel out the front, as well as your hatch to access for wiring up your cord. We're going to remove the 4 screws on this back panel here, and this is where you access everything to wire up your power cord. Inside here are all the connection terminals, the strain relief block, and everything you need to wire this up. As far as your instructions on how to connect what wires to what, on the outside of the box there are labels for both a 3-prong and 4-prong installation. So follow the diagram there for whatever cord you have, wire it up, and connect everything in place as directed. First thing I'm going to install is my clamp connector for the power cord. This is not included with the heater or the power cord itself, so you'll need to purchase this separate. This is a 3/4 inch size. I'm going to push it in the hole here, and I'll thread in the lock nut connector inside the heater unit. Alright, with the clamp cable connector in place, I'm going to loosen these screws, opening this up, and then I will feed my cord through here and into the box to connect the terminals. I'm going to remove the brass connectors on the ends of my red, black, and white wire, but leave the green one intact. The red and black ones get put into these wire clamps, and it wants it to be a bare stranded wire connection, so that will get clamped down there, and then removing it from the white one will allow me to cap this off easier. And then following the instructions on the diagram on the box, I'm going to hook my red wire to the top lug, my black wire to the bottom lug, my green wire to the green ground screw, and I'm going to leave the white neutral wire disconnected and capped off. With the cord wired up to the heater, we are now ready to begin installation of this on our wall or ceiling. Also, this being a low profile heater, looking at the user manual here, the minimum clearances for a wall mounted application, which is what I'll be doing, is you want the heater 4 inches from your ceiling. That's really good. 4 inches of clearance is nice, especially if you're working in a workshop or an area where you may not have a lot of ceiling height. This one is really low profile. I'm going to use the included stainless steel hardware to attach the wall bracket to my wall right here above my breaker box, which is actually a plywood covering. So this will give me a nice, strong, secure mounting point. If you are mounting this somewhere else, make sure you attach this to a wall stud or a ceiling joist. Don't just trust any kind of wall anchors or something like that to hold this up in place. While the heater itself is lightweight, you just don't want to take that risk. You want to make sure this is installed securely and safely. My bracket is installed, and I added that 2x6 block in there to kind of make the heater turn just a little bit and face into the room better. This will probably still do a good job circulating the air, but I wanted to give it that little bit of extra hope to get there and not just blast this one wall right above my lasers with all of the heat. Another option would have been to move it further down into the center of the workshop and just face it straight out, but I have plans for this area and this wall space, and I need to leave it available. Also, the cord that I put on this heater is about 5 to 6 feet long at most, and I need to stay within reach of that outlet. That sounds pretty good. It is definitely putting out a good amount of air, but it's not incredibly loud. It sounds different from the model that I've had for several years, which is still in my old workshop, and it sounds better. I don't know, maybe it's because it's a new fan, it's not been used for 3 years, or maybe they've improved it, but it does sound better. It's a weird thing to point out, but it's what I noticed firsthand. The other thing I noticed is I stand here at my desk area, I can feel the heat a little bit. I mean, it might be made up in my head, not sure, but where I'm standing, I'm pretty much in line with that heater, which is good. This is the primary space that I'll be working at. And usually if I'm sitting down at my desk, I tend to get a little bit colder than if I'm up around walking and working in the shop otherwise. Here's a look at the external thermostat or thermometer that comes with this heater, and this is what sets this model apart from the previous models. In the user manual, there is a section here where you can scan a QR code and it will show you how to connect the thermostat to the heater. So I'm going to take a second and do that. I love the fact that this new model heater has the external thermostat. The original heater that I got many years ago, what, 3, 4 years ago at this point, works great. It was perfect, but not having the external thermostat was a kicker when it came to really maintaining a certain temperature within a space. From what I can tell, the machine, as far as rating, size, design, heat output, power consumption, and everything of the sort, is identical to the previous model that is in my old workshop. The difference is in the connectivity and the thermostat, but honestly, that is a huge difference. I really like the fact that this heater comes with a remote. It is extremely handy, and I also like the fact that this remote comes with a magnet already glued to the back of it. It's like they know how we want to mount things and that we want to stick it somewhere so we don't lose it, and that is really good. As far as the range of it, this is about 12 feet away. And no problem. You can hear the beeps. It's got connectivity. I can go all the way to the end of my workshop, which is 32 feet away. Same thing. As long as it's pointing towards it, it's got connection. Every once in a while, the fan will ramp on. You can hear it doing it right now. It is sensing the room air. It is circulating a little bit and making sure it's staying on top of its job, which is heating the space as you tell it to. So be aware it does kick on and off automatically, but it doesn't heat right now unless it needs to. The first stage is fan. It runs for maybe 30 seconds, a minute at most, and either kicks on the heater or turns off, as you hear there, depending upon your room's temperature. At this point, this heater has been installed for about 2 weeks in my workshop. This is a 20-foot wide, 32-foot long workshop with 8-foot ceilings. This is currently in the winter time here in Tennessee where I live, and we've had temperatures that drop into the teens at night and only sees highs around the 30s or 40s at most. Not extreme winters like other parts in the world, but also winter enough for us here in the state. I'm happy to tell you guys that this heater has no problem heating this space. I do have a small little fan over on the other corner of the workshop pointing this way to kind of help circulate the air. So that's something that I have added just to get good air mixing. But as far as a BTU output for the space, this guy has absolutely no problem. I know I'll get asked the question, how much does it cost to run? What is your energy usage? How often does it run? And honestly, that depends on a lot of factors, guys, and a lot of factors that are not just about the heater. The cost depends upon how much you pay for your electricity. Where I live right now in Tennessee, the price per kilowatt hour of electricity was literally half of where I lived at the first point of making my first video with that old version. So over here, it's half as expensive to run, but that doesn't mean anything with the heater itself. Another thing to consider is your actual space that you're trying to heat. How well is it insulated? Does it have any air leaks, air gaps? Is it totally sealed up, or is it wide open and drafty? That's also going to play a big part in your energy usage and how often the heater runs. Many years ago, I did a video comparing the various different heat sources that I had tried in my workshop. Things from a wood stove, propane heater, electric heat, and everything else at that time. I stuck with electric heat at that point, and yes, I'm still with electric heat today. For me, it just makes sense. It is a clean heat source. It does not put off any fumes or odors. It is safe to run while you're not in this space. And with the smart app, I have Wi-Fi control with the heater, which is awesome. I use this all the time. When I'm about to come out into the workshop, I will preheat my shop if it's a really cold day. And when I get into the home at night, if I can't remember that I set the heat down low for the nighttime, I can adjust it in the house and not have to come out here and push the buttons. That alone is super convenient and worth it. The other thing you can do is you can set up schedules, certain times that you want it to heat at different ranges, so that is awesome. And if you have more than one of these heaters, which I now do, you can have different heaters, control them independently, see how they work, and just have a greater amount of control over the heat usage in your space. So there's a look at the new model HeatStorm garage heater. If you guys got any questions or comments, leave them down below. Also check the video description for links to my original review video, my workshop heat source comparison video, and other stuff that may interest you. I appreciate you guys watching as always. Take care. I'll see you guys next time in the heated workshop.